Good morning, everyone. Well, it's morning for me, but maybe afternoon or nighttime for you. Happy whatever time of day it is. Sorry about that. Um, so, we are going to talk about self injury, and I know this can be a potentially triggering and a heavy topic. And I want you to know that if you are going through this, or if you know somebody that's going through this, help is always available and you don't have to go through it alone. And I just want to bring awareness to what self injury is and think about a couple ways we can help somebody that is going through it, or if that's yourself, how can you help yourself? Self injury is the attempt to alter a mood state by inflicting physical harm serious enough to cause tissue damage to your body. The difference between something like getting really angry and punching a hole in the wall and hurting your hand because of it is that the intent has to be there to cause physical harm to your body. The person that punched the hole in the wall because they got angry, that's not exactly a healthy coping mechanism to deal with anger. However, they weren't intentionally trying to hurt themselves. They were just trying to take their anger out. Self injury is different though, because again, the intent has to be there to cause tissue damage to your body. Self injury could be cutting, burning, hitting something with the intent of hurting yourself. Remember, that's the important difference there. Hitting yourself, picking at the skin, biting yourself, pulling out your hair, etc. Anything to intentionally cause tissue damage to your body. It's said to bring temporary relief from some kind of distress, and it becomes addictive and it can quickly become the primary coping mechanism. Why do people self injure? It can help them process their negative feelings. A lot of times, when people self injure, they haven't learned constructive coping mechanisms to deal with emotions. It could be to distract themselves from feeling negative feelings. It could be they want to feel something physical, particularly if they're feeling numb. And feeling numb or feeling emotionless is a symptom of depression. And that person thinks, I want to be able to feel something, so I'm going to partake in these self harm behaviors. It helps them develop a sense of control over their lives, or think that they have a sense of control over their lives. And that's kind of like what we said with eating disorders. It gives the person a sense of control a lot of times, but really it's the disorder, or in this case, it's the self injury that's controlling the person. It could be they want to punish themselves for things they think they've done wrong. It could be it is how they express emotions that they're otherwise embarrassed to show. There could be a lot of other reasons. This isn't a one size fits all. Um, there could be other reasons that people self injure. These are just a couple of them. Why does self injury make people feel better? It reduces physiological and psychological tension rapidly. Some people were never taught how to cope effectively. It can be problems with the neurotransmitters in the brain, and that is, think of it like a chemical imbalance in the brain. The incidence is about the same as that of eating disorders, and a lot of times it accompanies one. A lot of times, with people that are diagnosed with an eating disorder, self harm behaviors will also be a factor for them. Is it a failed suicide attempt? In short, no. It's said to be the opposite of suicide. It's an effort to cope with the pain and not succumb to the pain. It's the person's attempt to not commit suicide. They want to deal with the pain. And while this is a very dangerous and unsafe coping mechanism, it's still a way for them to have that release without committing suicide. Some could later potentially attempt suicide, but usually, if they're going to attempt suicide later, it's using a different tactic than they use for the self injury behaviors. For example, if the person's primary self injury technique is cutting, then they would attempt suicide later in a different way. The dangers, aside from the obvious tissue damage that it could cause, self injury can be very addictive. The cuts can start getting deeper and deeper. It could lead to permanent scars, infection, and people can become desperate about the lack of self-control in doing these behaviors, and it just continues to get more and more dangerous. If the cuts continue to get deeper and deeper, one day they can go too deep, and worst case scenario, it would be to the point of no return. And obviously, we want to address that before it gets to that point. Immediate fixes for self-harm behaviors. These are all kind of like feeling sensations. None of these are harmful sensations, but it still causes you to feel something. And you're feeling something while at the same time not harming yourself. Squeezing an ice cube, taking a cold shower, biting into something with a strong flavor or intense smell, punching something soft so you don't hurt yourself, ripping up a newspaper or pages in a phone book or something to where, your parents won't be upset if you rip it up. Exert energy by exercising, running, or jogging. And it's kind of similar to what we were saying with anxiety. Do anything else. Play a game and try to start working on new, healthier coping mechanisms. Take up meditations and yoga. Do anything else. Read a book, watch TV, watch YouTube, go on TikTok. Do whatever you feel like you need to do to not do that behavior. You can think, okay, I have self harm urges right now, and recognize that. Again, don't suppress it. Don't say, oh, I don't want to think like that, because avoidance is not a good coping mechanism either. And you can rewire your brain by thinking, I recognize the fact I'm having these self harm urges, but I'm going to choose to do something else. And that's a good way to deal with the issue while not engaging in the behavior. Things to watch for if you are suspicious that somebody you know may be engaging in these self-harm behaviors, or maybe you weren't suspicious, but you start noticing these signs and maybe some red flags go up because of them. They could always wear long sleeves and pants, even in warm weather. They have unexplained cuts and bruises, and when asked about those cuts and bruises, they make excuses that don't seem legitimate. The person may be dealing with a lot of stress and also have symptoms of depression. Remember, I said before, a lot of times people with depression don't feel things, their emotions are numbed, and it could be a way they use self injury as a way to feel those emotions again. What can we do? You have to respond, do not ignore it. If you address it with them, let's say they admit it, which they may try to deny it at first. If they do end up admitting it and say, I'll stop, that's not something you can just trust them to do, because remember, it becomes such a strong urge to engage in these behaviors. That means that you have to follow up. You can't just ignore it and think, oh, they'll take care of it. Tell a trusted adult, teacher, counselor, anybody that you feel like can help you deal with this situation, because it's not something that you should have to deal with by yourself. Be supportive of them without reinforcing the behavior. Handouts are available. Obviously, I can't pass them out to you in a physical copy, but I'm going to send a couple of them out through email and post them on MyWJ. And this is a crisis text line. And when I send you these PowerPoint notes, you can click on that and go and check that out as well. Here are some things you can say to let them know you care. I know sometimes you hurt yourself and I'd like to understand it. That kind of shows them that even though you don't understand it, maybe you don't know what they're going through, you are reaching out to them and saying, I want to help you. I'm here for you and I'll be here to help you. Let me listen. Let them talk and don't try to come up with solutions for the issue yourself. Don't give easy fixes like just stop, or say things like you're not helping yourself. This isn't helping you. It's only hurting you. They know that. They just can't stop with the urge to self-harm. Encourage them to express their emotions. Be a shoulder to cry on and let them know that you are a safe person to talk to and that they can express their emotions with you. Spend time doing activities together. This is a really nice and easy one. Just act like, everything is okay sometimes. Like you can just do things that you normally would have done while keeping in the back of your mind that this is still something that needs to be addressed. It doesn't mean ignore it completely, obviously. It just means on top of dealing with it, make sure to spend some time doing normal activities to give them and yourself a sense of normalcy. And remember, when we talked about anxiety too, we talked about the fact that you have to make sure you're taking care of yourself as well, because this can be a lot for somebody when a friend comes to you and says that they're engaging in these behaviors. So make sure that you're taking care of your own mental health as well. There's a lot of people that can help you with that and help you learn how to cope with that. And again, if you are struggling or you know someone that's struggling, reach out. Don't be afraid to do so. And if you have any more questions, feel free to ask, and we will continue to have conversations about this on the discussion board. And I hope you learned a lot from this. And please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys soon.